Hello and welcome. I am here today joined by Tatul Hakopyan of CivilNet TV. You have seen Tatul on our Armenian language broadcast, and we have brought him on here today as a student and researcher of 20th century history, specifically to talk about the short-lived First Republic of Armenia. We want to thank Tatul for joining us. Tatul, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So we want to start out looking at, while the First Republic of Armenia was short-lived, certainly we can take some of the good and bad that came out of that. So I want to ask, what are two things that we could call successes from the First Republic of Armenia that we should remember as part of Armenian political history?
Well, first of all, of course, the creation of the First Republic of Armenia was the most successful thing because we created, our political fathers created the first Armenian Republic 100 years ago, when after genocide, no one believed that it was possible that we can have independent statehood. So the first thing for me is the creation of the Republic of Armenia. The second thing, of course, is that we had, when Armenia and Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Turkey signed the Batumi Treaty in June 4-5 of 1980, we had only 10,000 square kilometers Armenia. And in December of 1920, when Dashnaktutun left the power for Bolsheviks, at that time we had 30,000 square kilometers. So 3 times bigger than we created. So I can also enumerate several of the successes, but the two important successes is the creation, and the second that we during 2.5 years of period of our independent history, from 10,000 square kilometers, we had 30,000.
So effectively tripling the size of Armenia.
Yeah.
And so while I even said at the beginning it was short-lived, that doesn't mean that it was unsuccessful, because to increase your size threefold is certainly something impressive. And as you said, just simply the creation of a country is impressive.
We should also remember that when in May and June, when the Armenian Republic created, we had about 500,000 population. And at the end, we had more than 1 million. So this is also very important. When the first time, in Ararat Valley, we had a pure Armenian population. So this is another success.
No. It's interesting when you hear the story framed in this way, because in so many ways, these stories have a certain framing as you look at them. However, I do want to now look at the other side of that. Certainly, there are some of those successes. So many different things led to the collapse of that First Republic. Some things that were certainly not in the hands of those who were governing and those who lived here.
Right.
Specifically, I want to look at what were a couple of those failures that were things that could have been avoided, that plagued the First Republic.
Well, we can say a lot of things. But I do believe that challenges during the 2.5 years of the Armenian Republic history, challenges were not internal, but external. So I don't think that the Armenian First Republic collapsed because of the bad governance, because of corruption, etc., etc. I do believe that because of Bolsheviks, Russian Bolsheviks, and because of Turks Kemalist. And these two powers, unfortunately, together, punished and they destroyed Republic of Armenia.
So, okay, from there then I want to now, because There's certainly parallels at all times throughout history. I now want to take some of that in terms of the things that might have been outside pressures and influence, as well as look at some of the internal pressures. What are some of the things that this current government now, we're in the 27th year of independence here in Armenia, we're looking back 100 years. Can the government now look at anything from the past and say that to be able to learn lessons, or can they say, "Oh, that's in the past, and there's nothing we can do"?
We have a lot of lessons learned from that period of our history. But I would like to emphasize another thing. We should remember that because of Russian occupation, or because of Russian wars, because of Russian influence, also our two neighbors, Georgia and Azerbaijan, also they also in some way destroyed. Let's use another word. They became Soviet. That's why I don't think that because of bad governance that we lost our independence. What lessons learned? I think a lot of, first of all, relations with our neighbors, specifically with Azerbaijan and Turkey at that time, Ottoman Empire, then Kemalist. Well, when I read books of one written by founding fathers like Khajaznuni, Khatisyan, Veratyan, Ohanjanian, and Terminasian, and others, the same challenges they faced then, we face today. Well, relations with Azerbaijan, it's true that at that time we had diplomatic relations with Azerbaijan. Moreover, we had the embassy in Baku. Azerbaijan had embassy in Yerevan, in Armenia. But during that two and a half year period, we had a lot of wars and clashes with Azeris, with Azerbaijan, in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Zangezur, in the bordering areas, in Noyemberian, now at that time called Kazakh region. Relations with Ottoman Turkey. At that time, it's true, and for some it's shocking that Ottoman Turkey had embassy in Armenia, in Yerevan, in the center of Yerevan, in today's Sakharov Square. We had representation in Istanbul at that time, in Polis. But again, relations with Turkey, with Turks, relations with Georgia, the same challenges. If you read the books like Ashak Babalyan books about Armenian-Georgian relations, the same issues, the same difficulties we had that time, now we have today. So a lot of things to learn and to know about Republic of Armenia, First Republic of Armenia.
I think that is always a constantly an interesting thing to see, is that these geopolitics, it just happens to be similar as you go through.
Relations with Russia. At that time, we hadn't relations with Russia, and we say Russia, we should understand what Russia, what kind of Russia. At that time, we had at least 3 or 4 Russias: Bolshevik Russia, or Lenin-Stalin Russia, Kolchak Russia, Denikin Russia, Wrangel Russia. So the Republic of Armenia tried to establish relations with all these entities, with all these centers of the power in today's Russia, with Bolsheviks, as I said, with Kolchak, with Wrangel, with Denikin. And Armenian-Russian relations also a thing that we should learn from that period of our history.
No, and it's interesting how so many of those names are still the names that Armenia is dealing with now, both in terms of its neighbors as well as the region itself.
Yeah.
So Tatul, I want to thank you again very much for joining us. It's been very interesting to be able to put the pieces together and to be able to see that so much of what has happened continues to this day, which certainly explains some of the difficulties both for the boundaries here in Armenia as well as the region overall. And so again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for watching us. Again, this has been CivilNet TV's Tatul Hakopyan joining myself, Mashak Khazarian, as we take a look at 100th anniversary of the First Republic and how this impacts currently here the Third Republic for an independent Armenia. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.